Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. Last time we derived mass. Still on our ultimate quest for what is sensorality, looking for the stabilizing syllability. And it's important to point out at this point, again, our derivation is so tight in the sense that we're just taking one step after the other. We're just, again, the proofs kind of fall out because, again, language is consistent. And if you just take that one step after the other, again, there's only so many things you can describe. And so, worth pointing out, the ultimate goal, what is sensorality? And we properly derived mass last time. And so, what is mass related to? Shout out Albert Einstein, energy. And not just E equals mc squared. And so we have a big development for energy now. Already sent it off over email, but it's a big one, big, massive result. And so, but I'm going to take you through in order of the derivation. What is mass to meaning, right? Everything around you, our surroundings, our environment is massive. Like literally it is made of mass. And that is the irreducible word to the things around you. But mass to meaning, again, we just associate these different sounds. Again, one of these questions where the point is not to answer the question. Sensorality associates meaning to mass, right? These different physical processes are associated to words. Random, but worth pointing out, mira, mir, a Spanish verb, look, like you look, and then mir, a very common word through a lot of Slavic languages for peace. And so, again, it's another result that is independent of a given language, mira, mir, just mir, mir, and then it also sounds like mirror, but it's a fundamental iteration, and logically meaning look, peace. Mass is framework, mass work. So that was the big connection. We connected in proper ontology. Anything these words could mean in total physical bounding, mass is relationship to work. Mass is literally framework. Mass is the structure of your environment. Setting frames, framing preserves. Mass preserves information, right? I'm Brad right here. I can read books and look at letters and the symbols and decode. That dark energy is bullshit. But mass preserves information. Sensation is preservation, right? The ability to sense things, to form memories, that is how we preserve that information. Sensation, or I just have sensation is preservation, and then sensation preserves information. Dispersion, then dispensation. Or dispensation, excuse me. But just in order to our dispensality and dispersality, our clear logical differentiation from this morning, which again on a personal level is worth pointing out, it feels like an eternity ago. Each of these steps again is at this point not even novel to me. Like I've done all of this final reduction before, but it's still just worth pointing out. It's like all of these results. I mean, completing ordinality, that was like the biggest mathematics proper result you could produce. That was part 260, and it's like on a personal level, it's just 2 hours go by and it's like anything before that was just like nothing. And then none of the steps are like bigger than the last ones. But dispersion, then dispensation. Order, then, or disorder, then order, right? Information doesn't have form, but it's efficient. It is formal. It transmits meaning. And it pointing out the three syllables, dispersion, dispensation. So again, something to do, our numeric relationships are always present. It's just, we are demonstrating logical completeness well past numerality, numbers. But sometimes it's I like to emphasize this being one of them, right? Order or disorder to order. It's like a limit, and here it's like we're dispersion, then dispensation. Worth pointing out, can't provide you anything else. Sensorality is disorderly. Sensorality is disorderality. And so again, just pointing out the syllability, I just have little e hyphens, will be on your screen. But again, demonstrating this irreducibility, and we're back to, right, disorder, disorderly is a word phrase that you'll hear out in the wild. We've described E, the sound E represented by the letter Y, and then Li, again, those are all natural hyphens. And so, but disorderly is something everyone says. So generalized sensorality is disorderality. But again, before we had sorterality, but now we have that dis. Again, just worth pointing it out. But sensorality locks in. This is one I said very naturally last episode, but whether we're talking about our riz, if we're going to riz up the chicks, or the dudes, if that's your thing, you have to lock in, right? If I'm a planet and I'm at my Lagrange point, I have to lock in, right? I'm the moon, I'm tidally locked. Which the moon's a little interesting. But, or if we're on a quiz show and you want to lock in your answer with Regis Philbin, I think he's been dead for some years now. But point being is, again, this is that phrasing of locking in. What is locking in? Right, centering locks in. If you're on your radar sonar systems looking at those UFOs that don't exist, we're locked in. We centered it, right? We've synchronized. Synchronality locks in. Sensorality is synchronality. Sorality is chronality. Sensorality emotes. And when I wrote that one, there's a song, I couldn't think of it and I didn't Google it, but there was some song, I want to say on a rock band. I want to say it was like the first rock band, where it's like there's a song that says something about emoting. And it's like a winter's edge, or jagged winter, just thought of it. But they use it naturally, and I just thought of it when I wrote that theorem. So I wish you could see like how profound, like how many, like all of the data just comes in from everywhere all the time. But sensorality emotes, and then the actual title just came to me. Sensorality is emotality. Emotality is emotionality. And that is a natural definition. The emotality is something you don't really hear much. You do hear motility, which I think is like in reference to like, the thing that comes to mind is like sperm cells, like motility, like the tail of the sperm. But motile, that is certainly somewhere in scientific ontology, but emotality is not. Or again, I've not heard it articulated. Motion is movement. What is emotion? Emotional is sensational. 4 syllables to 4 syllables. And again, conjectured it a long time ago. At this point, again, no conjecture really matters, because for me personally, the derivation to proof is so quick where it's like, you don't even have like, let's go try to solve this problem, or go try to even work on this part of theory. Doesn't make sense. There is a profundity of next steps to make, and those are the immediate next steps to prove. And so it's like we just focus on the things you can prove, and then you cycle through the entire logical structure. But yes, we conjectured that 4 syllables, again, is somewhere in this even syllability that reduces all of those word forms that we've worked through that you've never seen or heard before, or some sort of reduction because of symmetry, and it's reflected in number theory as there are no even prime numbers. We can state the fundamental theorem of emotion. Sensation produces emotion. Produce product. Sensorality is induction. Sensorality induces emotion. A moving charge induces a magnetic field. Sensorality induces emotion. Censorship causes emotion. Oh my gosh, I'm Piers Morgan and I'm uncensored and I spelled my TV show wrong. I'm incensed. And that made me emotional. Analysis produces results. Words are results. Censorship is analysis. What is analysis to rhythm? Pointing out the linguistic similarity, specifically the why. You can just look at the words. But censorship, worship. Mass is church. Sensorality blesses. Daddy, thank you for your blessings. You're welcome. I am very generous. And so now we are getting to our big result. Sensorality, but viscosity, religiosity. Sensorality is geosity. Worth pointing out that had the intuition there that G, flashback, French flashbacks, French, je or j'ai. Generosity, you also see this kind of relationship in, again, the Cyrillic, but it's not the same thing, but it's the same kind of sound difference, like the more aggressive, like the more g or the h. Same within like Spanish, you get like ache and then like gente for like people. That gh, something's going on there. But then the geosity, the biggest one being French, the je and the j'ai. Also in Greek as well, where you get a lot of like if you have a little Greek kid and they say ghoulery, right? People will say black people say jury, but Greek people say goulery. And so it's all the same, all of that phonetic emergence is something with this G-osity or with this G sound or the gamma or whatever you want to call it. Something's going on there, and you see it in a lot of languages. But sensorality is G-osity. And so that is a well-defined word that we have now encapsulated. Sensorality is generosity, G-osity, generosity. But now, this is the big connection, our relationship of mass and energy. Generosity is energy, legitimately, directly, linguistically, intuitively, emotionally. Right? If somebody says, when you say good vibes only, you are directly responding to their energy or to their generosity. Again, generosity is literally energy, so, and it, directly iterated. The E-N-E-R-G, right? The G is just, energy, gener, directly. And then the os is, again, the flipping of so, which again, I forget what part it is, but again, so, así, en español, así, so. Entonces es then, pero, así, o, entonces, más o menos. And so, I just did it again, but we have energy, it, and so, three complete English words with clear meaning, iterated. That is literally, linguistically, completely generosity. And it contains energy plus, again, filler syllability. And so when somebody says, good vibes only, or we only want good vibes, you are specifically referencing uniquely generosity. Mega theorem. But that is 100% true. Generosity is energy. One-to-one directly. And then so I have generosity, and then I just directly generalize that. Generosity, generalize with an S, right? These iteration elements, S and C. V is also one that's pretty apparent. You can kind of see them now. Again, don't really know how to formalize it past, again, the actual demonstration, right? When I say I'm not going to derive geometric linguistics, I'm clearly operating in the completeness of the letters. We're just piecing up in concepts, and then the letters fall out, but the letters are geometric shapes, modeling mass directly. So generosity, just directly iterate the G to an S, which is generalization. Senorosity. Sensorosity is sensorality. And you'll see the spelling there. Again, the spelling works itself out. That is what we are iterating. Generosity is energy. Generosity is energeticality. And so that is, again, a natural definition connecting emotion to motion. Directly, immediately, completely. Huge, super, triple, double mega theorem. But generous is sensuous. Sensorality is sensuous. Worth pointing out this, right? Curiosity to curious to curiosity. Again, the I-O-U-S, a lot of vowels real stuffed in close together. U is like the last vowel. Just pointing out the literality of it, but I mean, that's the only, sensorality is sensuous, sensorality is censorious. And so that I-O-U-S to then the generalized O-S-I-T-Y, curious to curiosity, that there's something going on there that I can't formalize or certainly would like to say more. Sensorality is censorious, sensorality is sensoriosity. And then I just have generosity is good vibes only. I'll explain that better, but generosity is good. Sensorality is good. Work is good. And so, another huge, massive, quintuple super theorems. So it is at this point when I thought it was important to reflect on some quotes. All right, Isaac Newton, standing on the shoulders of giants. Or you'll hear the phrasing a lot of times, he was, we've plucked all the low-hanging fruit. And then it's just, the right place and the right time. And so which I have in my most scientific writings. Nah, anytime, any place. You just need the right nigga. Do you know what they call me in the streets? 10 toes, nigga, because they stay down. And so, that is what I think, too. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. But in reality, there was actually still some more physics within that statement, not just Brad sneaking in the N-word. But place in time, right? Space-time, more like place-time. And so, again, the huge presentation of generosity is energy that connects emotion to motion directly, immediately, literally. So we're continuing on with the final reduction, but my rights continue to be violated. It is historically interesting that it is Lent with all of these Christians and Catholics running around and all these good neighbors. I'm seeming to miss that part of our tradition. But again, my rights continue to be violated. It is profoundly and extensively stressful. And I just try not to say the T word too much because I feel like that's going to get me dinged on YouTube. But again, I'm documenting historical treatment, which has not been good. And so I continue to ask for a little bit of money. 2 zeros on my account. It's my money. I've earned it. It is mine. It's not even a lot of money. It changes my life zero. Besides, I stop being miserable and I stop living in my parents' house, for freaking crying out loud. But massive episode, obviously. Thank you for. Oh, and one more thing. I am the next Dalai Lama. That's like I don't expect to get confirmed by the CCP, but enlightenment is a very literal, a real physical thing. And so, if you're talking about Confucius, if you're talking about Buddha, you're talking about enlightenment. So it's like, all right, when do we stop just shooting each other and all get rich and just like respect one another? When do we start being generous? I'm just kind of missing it from everybody, every culture, every race, religion, everything. But here's some more free science. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.